The BFG had consumed his 72nd fried egg. Mr. Tibbs settled up to the Queen. He bent low from the waist and whispered in her ear. Chief sends his apologies, Your Majesty, and he says he has no more eggs in the kitchen. What's wrong with the hens? The Queen said. Nothing's wrong with the hens, Your Majesty, Mr. Tibbs whispered. Then tell them to lay more, the Queen said. She looked up at the BFG. Have some toast and marmalade while you're waiting. She said no to him. The toast is finished, Mr. Tibbs whispered, and Chef says there is no more bread. Tell him to bake more, the Queen said. While all this was going on, Sophie had been telling the Queen everything, absolutely everything about her visit to Giant Country. The Queen listened appalled. When Sophie had finished, the Queen looked up at the BFG who was sitting high above her. He was low eating a sponge cake. Big friendly giant, she said. Last night those man-eating brutes came to England. Can you remember where they went not to the night before? The BFG put a whole round sponge cake into his mouth and chewed it slowly while he thought about this question. Yes, Magister, he said. I do think I is remembering where they said they was going the night before last. They was galloping off the sweatin' for the sweet and sour taste. Fetch me a telephone, the Queen commanded. Mr. Tibbs placed the instrument on the table. The Queen lifted the receiver. Get me the King of Sweden, she said. Good morning, the Queen said. Is everything all right in Sweden? Everything is terrible, the King of Sweden answered. There is panic in the capital. 2 nights ago, 26 of my loyal subjects disappeared. My whole country is in a panic. Your 26 loyal subjects were all eaten by giants, the Queen said. Apparently, they like the taste of sweets. Why do they like the taste of sweets? The King asked. Because the sweets from Sweden have a sweet and sour taste. So, says the BFG. The Queen said. I don't know what you're talking about, the King said, growing testy. It's hardly a joking matter when one's loyal subjects are being eaten like popcorn. They've eaten mine as well, the Queen said. Who's they, for heaven's sake? The King asked. Giants, the Queen said. Look here, the King said. Are you feeling all right? It's been a rough morning, the Queen said. First I had a horrid nightmare, then the maid dropped my breakfast, and now I've got a giant on the piano. You need a doctor quick, cried the King. I'll be all right, the Queen said. I must go now. Thanks for your help. She replaced the receiver. Your BFG is right, the Queen said to Sophie. Those 9 men-eating brutes did go to Sweden. It's horrible, Sophie said. Please stop them, Your Majesty. I'd like to make one more check before I call out the troops, the Queen said. Once more she looked up at the BFG. He was eating doughnuts now. popping them into his mouth, then 10 at a time, like peas. Think hard, BFG, she said. Where did those horrid giants say they were galloping off to 3 nights ago? The BFG thought long and hard. Ho ho, he cried at last. Yes, I is remembering. Where? Asked the Queen. One was of the Baghdad, the BFG said, as they is galloping past my cave. Fleshlamp Peter is waving his arms and shouting at me. Eyes off the Baghdad, and eyes going to Baghdad, and Mom and everyone of their 10 children as well. Once more the Queen lifted the receiver. Get me the Lord Mayor of Baghdad, she said. If they don't have a Lord Mayor, get me the next the best thing. The 5 seconds the voice was on the line. Here is the Sultan of Baghdad speaking, the voice said. Listen, Sultan, the Queen said. Did anything unpleasant happen in your city 3 nights ago? Every night unpleasant things are happening in Baghdad, the Sultan said. We are chopping off people's heads like you were chopping parsley. I've never chopped parsley in my life, the Queen said. I want to know if anyone has disappeared recently in Baghdad. Only my uncle, Kulp Harun al-Rashid, the Sultan said. He disappeared from his bed 3 nights ago together with his wife and 10 children. There he is, cried the BFG, whose wonderful ears enabled him to hear what a sultan was saying to the Queen on the telephone. Fleshlamp Peter did that one. He went off to Baghdad to beg Dad and Mom and all the little kiddos. The Queen replaced the receiver. That's prove it, she said, looking up at the BFG. Your story is apparently quite true. Summoned the head of the army and the head of the Air Force immediately.